Intrepid viewers, Lena Rodriguez. Now, I wanted to talk today about the American dream, so indulge me for a moment before I get going on the cards. So, the American dream, bring me your huddled masses and all that, was an inspiration to the entire world. There's no doubt. And what did that mean? That meant come be an immigrant, okay, and you can start your business and build up better conditions for your family. And millions and millions and millions did that. Now, to state the obvious, unless you're Native American or unless you're African American, were forcibly brought here to build America, then you are an immigrant, a child of an immigrant, or a descendant of an immigrant. Migration is what made America great, because with it came this dream of being able to create a free and equal society. Nothing wrong with the dream. Now, the reality by and large lived up to that for many, many people, but it's now coming down the other side in the sense with all this anti-immigrant stuff. But I just want to take a moment that as part of all this, big business got to be the new God. Corporations got to be the new God, right? So what that meant was governments had to comply with the whims and the wishes and the profit making for big business. Why? Because big business was seen as being the innovators, as the way forward. They employ people, la, la, la. In reality, and it's the same in Australia, UK, everywhere else, the engine room of our economies is small business. So I want to pay tribute here to small business, millions and millions of independent small businesses where the owners nurse their little business night and day, 24/7, until it grew to enough to employ other people. That is the real backbone of America. And every government, I'm sure it's the same in the States, but certainly in Australia, gets in saying, we're going to do more for small business. They never have, never. And so small business owners drown in the paperwork and administrative drama of having to comply with all these things. Okay, so having said that, I just want to use one example today. And corporate welfare, right? It's one of my bugbears. There's a company called Drax, and it operates out of Mississippi, and it cuts down old forests and sells them for wood chips that they then transport to the UK for wood burning power plants. I mean, in this day and age, what's wrong with that idea? Like everything. And Australia does it too. In Tasmania, pristine ancient forests. So they've been hacked down and sent to Japan for wood chips. No, they would chip it in Tasmania and then send it to Japan. Crazy. But Drax, this company in Mississippi, got 1.1 billion, that's with a B, just last year to do this thing. Now imagine what small businesses in Mississippi could do with 1.1 billion a year towards helping them out. So we've got to get out of this idea of global power of corporations, keep the global because we're all connected, but think much more locally. It's really important. And I think one of the things COVID has done is wake people up to the opportunities of how to turn a hobby into a business, or how to just engineer your life on a smaller scale. Now, on to bigger issues. I was thrilled, viewers. Candace Owen, who, as we know, is a right-wing conservative Black woman. Of course, when things happen, it's really important to have those who are other to the mainstream being a person of colour or a woman or both or whatever, to have those that are in your corner is really valuable. So Candace Owen took herself out of obscurity by being that conservative Black woman. And she interviewed the Yeti, and he was going on how marvellous it was. He invented not only one vaccine, but 3 vaccines himself. It would appear in his bedroom. See, this is part of where his lies are catching up with him. The whole world, scientific world globally, went into overdrive, and there was unprecedented contact between scientists, but we didn't know Trump invented them. But the interesting thing, intrepid viewers, is he's now gung-ho backing the whole vaccine thing. And it was since Biden gave him that drop of praise, saying, thank you, you know, for financing the vaccines or whatever. And Trump is such a child. He's now running with that. And I want to see how that's going to impact his base. Oh my God. Can you believe it? Oh. Excuse me, it's morning here, Christmas Eve. I've done Christmas. My sister and I had a pact. We did Christmas last week. It was bliss. It's over. Over for another year. Okay. So Trump, because of his ego, is desperate to get credit for this. And he actually said on the Candace Owen interview, she led him into it by saying, well, more people have died under Joe Biden in the last year than when you were there. And he missed that. And he kept going on about how wonderful the vaccines were. And she didn't know where to go with it. It's hilarious. Track it down if you haven't seen it. Okay. How will the MAGA base react? Because he went on to say, the people who are dying are the unvaccinated. He said it out of the little Yeti lips. Okay, how are the MAGA faithful going to react? Oh, that could be interesting. Now, it's almost funny. Okay, so for 2 years now, this has been my COVID card. You know, it has caught everyone in a situation where they've had to hunker down like a hermit, live this hermit existence. Now, the Yeti himself, this is very curious, viewers. 4 of Pentacles. Holding on to money, he's going to need to, because there's a lot of things coming up that are going to sap his financial resources. But I think this is speaking more to the base holding on to the Pentacles. Now, for those learning tarot, note that even at professional readers, we see Pentacles, we think money. You know, that's the age-old association. But we also know that Pentacles are about our security and our values. And so they're holding tight to their values. Now, 2 things. He actually spoke the truth because his ego was bigger than his drive to lie. I think this is a really quintessential moment for the Yeti. He spoke the truth, not once, but twice, in the sense he cut through himself to the reality of the situation. In that 5-minute interview, he actually, apart from claiming the prestige of inventing the vaccines, he actually spoke through and spoke to cutting through the crap to the reality that those who are dying are those who are unvaccinated. But here's the thing. The Queen of Wands. So I think what's going to happen is men are going to leave the MAGA concept. a bit, or at least be shaken by it. But the women, by and large, you always get conservative women. You get right-wing women who are truly vile. You get the nutcases like the Lauren Berberts and the, what's-her-face, Marjorie Taylor Greens. They're not who I'm talking about. So this is the greater feminine principle, which is choosing life over other things. And I think there are a series of MAGA women who are beginning to get it. You'll always be able to interview some in the deep red states who'll say, you know, I'm still MAGA, give me the Kool-Aid. Oh, the new Kool-Aid is the industrial bleach. I'm sorry, a digression. I'll get to that in a moment. But it's women and the power of sanity that is actually going to erode the MAGA base. None too soon. But I digress, viewers. Those of us who are old enough to remember Jonestown when it happened have often referred to the Kool-Aid, but it was such a big thing, 900 people going to Guyana, following their Yeti and drinking the Kool-Aid. It's even gone into our language, internationally drinking. Apparently, huge numbers of them are rushing to Houston to presumably share in a bowl of industrial bleach. What history is going to make of this time, I can't imagine. And you had that example of them who rushed off to some Mr. My Pillow event a few weeks ago, who are now getting sick in significant numbers, but they're claiming it was anthrax. Chemical grade anthrax. They were exposed to it by the villainous other. Well, I'm sorry, anthrax works a bit quickly, like anthrax dropping dead. No, it doesn't take weeks of symptoms to develop. No, they've got the big C, COVID, and they can't admit it or see it. So the madness is circling round. All right. But now he's done this interview. It's super weird beyond belief. Okay. So as we know, the only thing standing between America and an outright authoritarian fascist regime is the Department of Justice. Because we've got to remember, the January 6th committee is just that. It's a committee. Its job is to investigate. And I think they're being very thorough, very methodical. And I really don't think you have to worry about who's going to drag their heels with court cases and not appear, because they know everything. But their job is not to prosecute. Their job is to hand all this over to the Department of Justice. So at the end of the day, this is a key moment because America is experiencing its Pluto return, last seen 1776, clue, a full 240-year cycle or whatever it is, it's back. So I really hope Merrick Garland has spent this last year that the committee's been working in cleaning out the DOJ and having actual loyal Americans working in it. But it all hinges this next year, 2022, on the DOJ. So I'm going to do a bigger spread than normal on the DOJ. Okay. The DOJ, are they up to it? Will they prosecute? Will they go all the way to save America? I also think, intrepid viewers, December's not quite finished yet. I think there's a couple of things that are going to emerge in the last week of December. But let's look. The DOJ, this is so important. Okay, people think military might is what protects them and keeps them safe. No, it's judicial might, right? That's why this is absolutely critical. Now, I'm sorry, in the last 4 to 5 years, I've failed to become more technically competent, but we'll have to make do with this. Oh, the Empress. The obstacle, yeah. Wow. All right. Now, here we go on this particular spread. What is the signifier? Excuse me. The Empress. The Empress wants people to feel secure. The Empress wants people to prosper. There's an expansion under the Empress of her own powers and the ability to look after others. There's a nurturing aspect that is so important to the Empress, bearing in mind she is representing the DOJ. This is their job, to protect America, not just save it, but allow it to go forward and prosper. What's the obstacle to that? Well, yes, this is, I think, all the things that have happened that were allowed to happen that weakened the democracy, right? All the bit, right from day 2 and the Yeti and the emoluments, infringements, and everything else he did, ripping out competent people in the public service who should have been bipartisan all these years and replacing them with hacks. Everything he did to kill democracy, including the GOP, drawing new electoral maps, you know, just breaking them up like confetti. All of this stuff is what the obstacle to saving America is. Now, here's the good news. It's a 10. In tarot, things culminate in a 10. At this point, it's almost like they can't do any more to hurt it because so much damage has been done. But it is the end of that cycle of being able to just thumb their noses at the Constitution, at the conventions of behaviour, and how things are done. They've done their worst. There could be room for optimism with this card. Okay, the DOJ has to start from scratch, a new beginning. It really has to get fresh eyes, fresh people, fresh commitment, fresh focus, new approach. Really important. What was their role in the past? Well, strategically, to keep the illegal boat afloat, you know, and they did that, and they had plans for how to do that. And each generation who came through the DOJ was sworn in, which seems to mean not much these days, but this is in the past. They were sworn in to be the buffer between America and a banana republic, which it's looking at if it's not very careful. So the overriding emotion here is loss. In the past, they were more secure, they could plan, they trusted each other, if you like. And the loss and disappointment, this is what Merrick Garland, I think, is up against now. I think he's personally disappointed and a bit shocked about how heavily infiltrated the Department of Justice is, and it's his job to clean it out. Now, always remember, with the 5 of Cups, 3 cups are down, 2 cups are up. He has to weed out as many as necessary and leave however many good people are standing, and then they can move on. The thing with the 5 of Cups is the opportunity's there to move on, to cross the river, and there's a castle there in the distance. They need to cross the river. At the moment, what's happening presently is he's juggling that task. I think it's bigger than he thought, probably bigger than we all knew, right? Okay. But he can do it. It's a juggling act, but he can do it and he must do it. So the energy over the issue of what's happening with the DOJ, will they hold up, is the Moon card. Now, again, for those learning tarot, the Moon is one of those cards you could spend 25 years just looking at meanings of the Moon card. Right? Now, inherently, it's not a good or a bad card. What we do know about it is things are always a bit misty or unclear with the Moon. But let's talk about this card for a moment. In this deck, you have a wild dog and a domestic dog here howling at the Moon. But I think the most important aspect here is the Moon itself. The artist has created what looks like a lunar eclipse. Right? And eclipses are portals. There's a portal to the other world, a better world available here. And this is really, really important. The pillars of wisdom, the opportunity to move through this portal. If they get it right, America will be fine. If Merrick Garland and the DOJ fail in their mission, which has to be convicting those responsible, not just someone who broke a window, not even those who did terrible things to poor Mike Fanone and the other people there on the day trying to protect Congress. They did terrible things. But this is another development again. They've got to prosecute the serving members of Congress if it is to be a thorough job. And that's what makes me nervous. Are they prepared to go there? Is Merrick Garland prepared to go there? Okay. Well, I think he is. I think he is. Oh, Lena, please be right. America, right? Now, it'd be easy to say, yay, this is my USA card. Yay, it's good. What is the star about? It's about inspiration, the idea of what America is, right? It's Star-Spangled Banner and all of that. But let's take a moment. This figure has a foot in the water and a knee, or effectively her other foot, on land. Okay, balance between the intuitive world and the practical world. And she's pouring water on both. She's replenishing the magic world, if you like, the dream world, the inspiration, the imagination of America, and nurturing the practical. So in other words, the fairies aren't going to do it, America. The DOJ has a huge role, but they in turn need the support of all thinking, decent, caring Americans to do that. And America can move forward again. So I'm pleased enough with that reading, but no one can rest during the next 2 or 3 years in the sense of course you need rest. I'm the first to say to you, get lots of rest, but I mean symbolically, rest. Be the change you want to see. What does that mean? It means what can you do individually in your life with your resources to help towards this? And there's always something you can do. That can be volunteering for an organisation that's already doing good work. It might be exposing the gerrymandering in your district or something like that. You can volunteer 2 hours a week or 2 hours a month. Be a keyboard warrior. It can be animal shelters. It can be people shelters for the homeless. Anything you do to lend weight to making things better matters. Drop, 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 ocean. It's really, really important to stay engaged in the next few years. So my other advice, as you know, is to rise above it, right? Don't stay in it. Particularly guard against paralysis. If you're feeling helpless and hopeless, it's a real sign. As I go into 2022, I need to approach all this differently. I need to conserve my energy, but at the same time, place good energy in a specific way. It can be volunteering to help kids with reading problems at a local school. If a kid learns to read, they've got a better chance of everything in life. Illiteracy is one of the markers of jail populations. Poor literacy, functional literacy, everything. Literacy is so important because then you can self-educate, providing you have critical thinking. So find your place is my mantra for this. What can I do to help America become the country I want it to be? And I think things are shifting. West Virginians cannot be happy with Manchin. I think this is a bridge too far, particularly announcing he wasn't backing the bill on Fox. I think that was particularly disgusting. They cannot be supporting this. Even the coal miners' union has come out and begged him. So he can't hide behind the coal industry even. It is revealed. These things are being revealed. The moon reveals. The sun reveals. The sun card represents, boom, a massive exposure of something. The moon is the slow reveal. Okay? So things are being slowly revealed. But because there's such momentum in the universe now, things are moving, things are changing. So please guard against paralysis. Please, please. That's what they want. Zombie politics. And I'll talk about zombie politics next time. No. Rest and then be active in some direction. Because if you're doing something, you feel better than not doing anything. But secondly, you tend to gravitate more to like-minded people. That makes you feel you can accomplish more. And you know what? You can. So my darling intrepid viewers, I'll leave you to it now. Know that I love you and I'll let you go because you've got a country to save. Big, big, big love from Lena. Oh, one last thing. Check out the reading I did yesterday with Sheila and Linda G. It'll be on Sheila's channel. Bye, guys.